Weeks back, a Facebook post from a local church caught my eye, and judging by the comments, it caught a lot of yours too. The River Church Kansas City meets at the corner of 79th and Quivira in Lenexa. For Father's Day last month, the church gave an AR-15 rifle to one of its members. Thousands of people reacted on Facebook. Then for the 4th of July, they did it again and gave away 3 more guns. I sat down with the pastor to hear his reasons why.
This is the post that got my attention on June 16th. A very blessed dad got blessed with an AR-15. This church had fewer than 100 members at the time, but the post garnered almost 2,500 comments and close to 2,000 shares as well. The idea for the gun came from the church's young pastor, Christopher Zahner.
I was thinking about Father's Day because we got a lot of men in the church that they like to shoot guns. I thought, you know what, let's give away a gun to the church and let some of the men get involved, and let's make it a big fun event.
How is a gun a blessing?
You know, a gun is a blessing because here in America we have what's called the Second Amendment, and we're free Americans. We have the right to bear arms.
Why make it such a focal point of intersection between proud American, Constitution supporting, and preaching Jesus Christ?
We make that connection because Christ gives us freedom. And so, as Christ has given us freedom on the inside, Americans are free as well. And so it correlates. We love this nation because God is the one that authored it.
The reaction on Facebook was, as you might imagine, largely negative. Here's a sampling. Nothing says faith over fear like worshiping firearms. Another, a church that upholds the Constitution of the USA, just like Jesus intended. People are leaving the church like never before. And you all wonder why. Zahner didn't read all of them,
Yes,
but he did get the majority of the response.
A gun in itself is not bad. It's the person behind the gun that has a bad heart is what's bad. I wanted people to know that there's still a generation, a young generation like myself, that still stands for what this country was founded on.
And that reaction was part of the reason that he and the church decided to do it again.
But we're going to give away these amazing firearms. We're going to celebrate the Constitution of the United States and our gun rights. Isn't that awesome?
For their 4th of July service, they gave 3 more members of the congregation guns, a shotgun and 2 handguns.
Our attendance doubled after this whole thing happened, and so I think people were looking at this like, wow, there was somebody that stood up and for our rights and freedoms and actually has a backbone.
This church has given away things before, but never guns. Each of the recipients were members of the church and had to complete a background check before taking ownership. None of them wanted to speak to me for this story. Zahner tells me the church wants to get to a point where they're blessing people with even larger gifts, listing cars, even a home as possibilities one day. And yes, guns again.
We probably will do it again. I would say maybe Christmas time to be a blessing again.
That use of the word blessing continued during our conversation. So I asked Zahner about the usefulness of a gift like a gun over other things they've given away, like groceries.
I know some people would maybe question, is a gun a blessing? But in the context of protecting your family, standing up for the Second Amendment right, I believe it would be a great blessing. If that was protecting somebody's wife from dying, or a daughter that was a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old from dying.
Like yours.
Like mine. It would be horrible to see someone's life lost, but to see a family protected, that's the American way.
And all that you feel like comes from Christ?
Yes, just generosity, giving, being a blessing. Yes.
Some other points to make here. Because of some potential threats they received after this posting, the church hired security to stand outside the building during worship services. They required members to sign a waiver acknowledging that the building they're entering had been threatened. The church is also planning a gun safety course in the future for its members, where they will learn how to properly load, fire, clean, and store a firearm. Now, I spoke to multiple other people from the city and surrounding area around that church in Lenexa to ask if they had thoughts on this story. None of them wanted to officially comment for our story this morning.
I know one of the things we talked about was this church, does it belong to a larger denomination?
It's one of the big questions I got when I've told anybody about this story that wasn't familiar with it. That's one of the first things people ask. They're connected with Revival Ministries International out of Tampa, Florida. I reached out to Revival as well more than once, email, by phone, talked to them over the phone, told them the story I was doing, and sent several questions via email. Have not heard back on this particular story. We'll continue to see if that happens and we get any response.